All right, Lagos, it is 17 minutes, 5, and you are tuned in to the marketplace on Smooth 98.1. And today on the marketplace, we'll be taking a look at how AI, or rather the impact of AI on film production. And it's going to be an interesting conversation. I've seen what AI can do, but you wouldn't even believe the interesting things you could get away with. I know earlier on I spoke about how someone put up a post that it was snowing in Enugu, and some people actually believed it, but you know how it is. Yeah, some people were like, "Is it true? Is it not true?" Well, I have with me virtually, my guest is Sam Igbedion. He's the media production manager at Pan Atlantic University School of Media. Good evening and glad to have you with me.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. So, Lagos, as always, you can join in. You have questions to ask on how AI can be very interesting or what shenanigans he can put across. Well, he'll be able to share more insights on that and any other interesting questions that you might have. By the way, Sam manages audiovisual productions for the school and as well as the university, as well as the studios and production equipment there at the Pan Atlantic University. So it is he's actually the right person to get in this conversation with. And talking about technology, technology is here to stay, as we all know. Um, but here's the thing that even we're going to be talking about, or the backdrop of what we're going to be having this conversation about, because I know that the tech team at the Wall Street Journal produced a film using artificial intelligence, AI. And it makes me wonder, are you worried about jobs as film producers?
Thank you again for having me on the program. Like you have rightly said, technology has come to stay. If we were to become worried because AI has come to stay, then we probably are not in the right profession, because filmmaking is a creative art. It's a business, and there's the creative aspect of it. AI, just like your computer system, has come to assist in that process and not take over your jobs.
Right.
I guarantee you that if you are not a filmmaker, the AI tools of film will be very happy with you. You might not know how to go about it. AI can bridge the gap a little bit, but it can't take away the entire creative process for you. And so there is a term that comes into play, especially now with AI tools, that is called prompt engineering. I don't know if you've heard of the term.
Yes, I have.
So prompt engineering, you are able to get AI to create what you want it to create. And if you are not versed in the art of filmmaking, if you do not have the training in filmmaking, you will probably not be able to do the proper engineering to get the results you want from AI to help you, make what you want to make. That said, there's only so much that AI can do for you. If you want to take your films to the next level, you really want to awe your audience, you will find that yes, AI can assist you in doing it, but there are quite a number of things that you probably will not be able to do even with AI there to help you. So we, as filmmakers, we are not afraid of AI as a tool. In fact, we welcome AI.
Embracing it.
yes, we embrace it as, a tool for helping us to make even better films. And of course, it of course lowers the entry barrier for filmmakers.
I like that. I like the fact that it's something that is going to be helping when it comes to production. It's not something that, usually you hear, oh, it's going to take away a lot of people's job. No, rather, it's just going to enhance and make production much more easier. We're not going to have to bend and break just to make those productions come to life. And I like that. However, here's the thing I want to find out. So, for a student that wants to study film production, would you advise they seek um, how to use this kind of tools for like Mid Journey or even Google's VO3 that enables text to video kind of prompts? Is that something that they should have an understanding of first before even coming in to get further knowledge on film production?
Most definitely. I mean, like I said earlier, AI has come to stay. And if
Right.
you are a serious filmmaker, if you are somebody who wants to take this profession very seriously, you do not want to be left behind. You don't
Mm,
want to be left behind. You don't want, you need to keep updating your skill set in terms of tools that you use to in your creative process. I
mm,
mean, let's just use a simple example. Say, for
right.
instance, you and I are accountants, and I'm not going to take this to filmmaking. I'll take this to a completely different profession so that even the people that
They
are
can
not in film
understand it.
understand it.
Right.
Say, two of us are accountants. I am a very good accountant. You are also a very good accountant. But in
Hmm.
my accounting process, I simply rely on a calculator. Whereas in your accounting process, you rely on, say, an Excel sheet, an Excel spreadsheet. Who do you
Right.
think will get better results? Of course, the
Obviously,
person
I
with the
would.
Excel
Ah,
spreadsheet.
yeah.
Exactly. And so in Pan Atlantic University, the School of Media and Communication, where we teach filmmaking, both at the undergraduate and the postgraduate levels, one of the things that we strive to encourage our students to do is self-learning. Self-learning in the sense that you don't stop learning simply because we have taught you, okay, these are the tools that are currently being used for filmmaking. Does not mean that those are the only tools that will ever be used for filmmaking.
Right.
Filmmaking is a process and evolving art. It continues to evolve, just like now we're seeing AI in filmmaking. In the past, there was introduction of newer technologies, digital cameras, and all of those kinds of things. So there was the introduction of the non-linear editing applications and different kinds of application tools. So constantly, we encourage our students to keep learning because the day you stop learning is the day you start dying. And so that's one thing we encourage our students to do. Take advantage of AI. Make use of it to improve your films. Make use of it to write your skills, your scripts. Make use of it to refine your film
Hmm.
production processes. Don't just rely on the traditional processes that have been done because somebody else that is just as good as you are as a filmmaker that is making use of those tools will definitely
Right.
get better results than you. So we don't discourage our students from making use of AI tools. Rather, we encourage them, but we also, tell them to look at things from the ethical perspective of, things. So you don't
Right.
just get carried away with what AI can do for you. Because if you just look at what AI can do for you and you rely on AI completely, it will lead you astray. You will probably lose your own creative ability in terms of how you craft your story. So yes, AI can help you generate some things, but you as the human has to go
Still
into the
make the
process
okay.
and then refine it to meet with exactly what you want to do, and then
Take it from
navigate
there.
those ethical issues as regards to using AI tools.
I like that because they say garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't have the right knowledge, even if you think you're putting something, it might just be absolute rubbish. So it's still important to do your own research, learn, and then fine tune what it is you want to produce. But let's put this on the backside for now. That is, let's put AI on the other side for now, and let's look at the journey of film production in Nigeria. I want to know, has it changed over the years? Are we seeing more productive techniques or production techniques being enabled by technology in the form of equipment and every other thing that we see as is expected. Because sometimes when you see certain foreign movies, and I'm not saying that we've not gotten there, but I'm just saying, have we gotten are we getting our acts right? Are there things that are we evolving in the right way?
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
Technology has greatly improved filmmaking in Nigeria. It is interesting that you asked this question because I am currently, studying for a PhD in film and multimedia studies.
Awesome
And
stuff.
one of the papers that I am writing, in fact, my thesis is focused on the impact of technology in filmmaking and Nollywood, how technology has impacted filmmaking in Nollywood. And the
Mm,
truth of the matter is that one of the studies I did was just comparing films that were made, say, in the peak of the early Nollywood era,
right.
say the 1990s. I looked at a particular genre of film, epic filmmaking, and I chose two films, one that was made in the late 1990s and one that is currently being made, or one that is just made in
Remade. Mm,
2022. Yes. So I looked at various things, and one of the things that stood out from the two stories was the use of technology, the kinds of cameras that were used, the kinds of lights that were used in these productions, this and the kinds of editing techniques and visual effects that were used for the films.
mm.
This elevated the production value of the films from in fact, the difference was night and day. The clarity was just, the difference was so clear in terms of the cameras, the lighting, and the techniques that were used in terms of camera work and all of that. So yes, there has been a lot of evolution in terms of technology and how it has affected Nollywood filmmaking. That is
Right.
in terms of the higher end. Now, on the lower end, technology has also democratized filmmaking in Nollywood, such that you have young filmmakers who have no budget. They're able to use AI tools to actually create content that they are using to start YouTube channels. Now you have various kinds of cameras that you don't need to purchase with all the money in the world to shoot your own short film and put it out there for people to see. With things like YouTube, you don't need to go to the cinemas to go and air your films. You can actually use YouTube as a means of reaching your own audience and creating an income for yourself. And so technology has not just improved the nature of films we make, it has has reduced the entry barrier and democratized the entire filmmaking process. It's a job for young people around Nigeria. All have to do just, open their minds up, make use of these tools that are available, harness the power of technology and AI, and of course, they will become better at it. So definitely, technology has improved filmmaking in Nigeria significantly, if I might say so myself.
Mm. I like the fact that you say it's actually improving and seeing that, hey, it's the comparison. I was going to mention a movie, but I'll leave it to you to do that and waiting for your thesis. Hopefully, we get updates on it. But we'll talk about all that much later. But Lagos, as always, to be a part of Marketplace, what you can do is share your thoughts with us. 0809 444 0981 on WhatsApp. Questions you might have, contributions you also want to share. Have you been using AI? Are you looking forward to getting in on this space? Probably write scripts, probably produce a movie on your own. I'd love to know what it is you're looking forward to experiencing. But we'll talk about more, especially where Nollywood is concerned, looking at the technical side of things. But that will be on the other side of this quick breather. As always, don't go nowhere. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1. Get ready for the most anticipated just a quick breather and we're back in. Coming up on June 12th and 13th at the Balmoral Hall, Oregon, right here in Lagos. Celebrating a major milestone, 10 years of empowering women in sports. Join us for inspiring discussions, networking opportunities, and a celebration of female excellence in sport. And that's not all. We've got a special treat for you, a mini concert to send off our national team as they embark on their national assignment. Don't miss it.
Mark your calendars for June 12th and 13th. Register now and be part of this unforgettable experience. For registration, visit www.ladiesinsport.com. This event is proudly supported by Smooth 98.1 FM and Standard IBTC. Ladies in Sports International Summit, where women in sports thrive. Accessible, informed, connected. Our approach is always from marketing, honestly, and it's a
All right, Lagos, you're welcome back to the second half of Marketplace here on Smooth 98.1. And today we're taking a look at the impact of AI on film production. And my guest is in the person of Sam Igbedion. He is the media production manager at Pan Atlantic University School of Media. And it's been an interesting conversation that we've been having so far, especially where film production and AI is concerned. We are making progress, but once it is, I'd like to say we're making progress. I know that trying to get equipment, seeing that they're not made here, is very expensive. Could that be what's holding us back from reaching uh, the heights where we need to?
I would say no.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Great, great.
I
Please
mean,
go ahead.
Nigeria,
Share.
Nigeria as a country, we're a unique country,
Right.
um, and so we have our ways of doing things. The film culture in Nigeria is what has put Nollywood at the level that it is now in global filmmaking. The way we make
Mm,
our films, as what's the term I want to use? As crude as we started it out to be, we were
okay.
still able to make enough films to get the world to pay attention to Nigeria and Africa at large. So, and we did all this with the
Little or
I would
next to
actually
nothing.
yeah, little or next to nothing, no investment from the government,
Right.
very expensive equipment that were not available to us. So we made use of equipment that were considered not ideal for filmmaking. We were able to build the Hollywood industry almost from nothing. And so the availability or the fact that we do not produce this equipment here has never held Nigerians back. Nigerians are very
Mm,
resourceful people. And Nigerian filmmakers are one of the most resourceful people in the world. We are people that tend to be able to solve problems of various kinds. And in fact, I would say that the fact that these cameras are not produced here is even an advantage in a certain way, in the sense that the fact that we don't have to spend so much energy in producing the cameras, all we need to do is get the cameras and shoot what we want to shoot with it, helps us. So, I mean, for instance, if you buy a camera today, say you have the money and you bought a camera today, it is most
right.
likely that by this time next year or next 2 years, that camera is outdated. You need to get a new one. And so,
Mm,
what has happened is that there have been, because of this constant change in technology and the fact that newer and newer cameras keep coming up, there are
mhm.
companies, Nigerian companies, that go out there and purchase these cameras. So you would rarely find a filmmaker, a professional filmmaker, who has all the camera sets or all the equipment within their own company where they produce from. A lot of the times, most filmmakers rent cameras from these middlemen who go out and purchase these cameras. So that is their own business. That's their business model. They go out, they get the latest cameras, they get the latest equipment, and they make it available to filmmakers in Nigeria who can then go and rent these cameras for a day or two. And that's also because these cameras are very expensive. I mean, the lowest level cinema camera is going for tens of thousands of dollars. If you convert that to naira, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're talking about tens of millions of naira. So what we're talking about here is that the fact that we don't produce the cameras here in the country has not affected the industry in any way. The way we tell our stories evolves from our culture, the way we see ourselves as Africans, as Nigerians. That is what has dictated the way our films have evolved, and of course, what has been available to us. In initial stage, equipments were not readily available. I mean, the high-end equipment were not readily available, but this high-end equipment can now be rented easily because the world that was global, I mean, has become global. And so a lot of people can just go to China, go to America, bring in this equipment, make them available to us. It hasn't stopped creativity in any way, shape, or form. Creativity has continued to evolve, and filmmakers are getting better at making films that are gradually getting to the standard of Hollywood. We can never compare ourselves completely to Hollywood because it's like completely comparing apples and oranges. Nollywood has its uniqueness. It has something that makes it Nollywood. It has a flavor about it that identifies it as an African cinema. And so no matter the kind of equipment that we bring in to improve the production value, our stories are still our stories, and we'll still tell them in the way that resonates with our people. And that's very different from Bollywood or Hollywood. With all due respect to them, we have our own unique way we tell our stories, and our people, I mean, that is the reason why we have made this industry so popular, because our people like our stories, they enjoy our stories, and they can't get enough of it.
And that is true. I guess that's why some some of the apps have also come in at some point to get the movies, Nollywood movies on their platforms, and we see how we are projecting to the world. But talking about projecting to the world, one thing you mentioned is the funding part. It is a problem if we're being honest. But how has the depreciation of the naira also impacted the movie, or will I say the industry in itself? Because for me, I imagine if Nigeria had more funds or had the backing, wouldn't we be able to, be on some of the, I don't know what platforms I want to talk about right now, but wouldn't we also be recognized? I don't even know. There's one person that comes to mind when it comes to studios. When I see how much million he had to cough up just to create studio, and I'm talking about yeah, Tyler Perry now, seeing how much, yes, how much he has set up for studios, and that's where people go. They pay premium money to shoot. If we had such funds or we had backing, would where would our movies be? Where would our film industry be?
To tell you the truth, I will still go back to the point I made earlier, which is that Nigerians are resourceful people.
I agree.
And we are extremely resourceful. And I want to, in a sense, believe that the challenges that we have faced as an industry is what has brought us to where we are now. Filmmaking in Nigeria did not start after Living Bondage or when Living Bondage was shot, which is one of the films that people talk about when they talk about the birth of Nollywood. That was not when filmmaking started in Nigeria. Filmmaking is a culture that we have had since the turn of the 19th century. The first film that was ever,
Your audio is faulty. It's
created films. And so the Naira challenge that we experience, this is not the first time that Naira
Hi Sam. Sorry, I went to, yes, I can hear you, but the first part was all muddled up. I don't know why the Gremlins didn't want us to hear when the first movies or the first films were made. So all that part was all lost to us. So I'd like you to come back and just give us a bit of that history. So before you go back into the conversation.
Okay, let me just retrace my steps. Now we're talking about the depreciation of the Naira and how it has impacted the Nigerian film industry. I was just saying that when a lot of people think back, or when general conversations about amongst people that are not really schooled in the art of filmmaking in Nigeria. When they talk about Nollywood, they typically refer back to the days of living in bondage, right?
True.
But
True.
in Nigeria precedes the era of living in bondage. I don't know if you can still hear me clearly.
Yes, please.
Okay. It precedes that. And it the reason why living in bondage stands as a pivotal point in Nollywood is because that was the film that birthed the new era of filmmaking in Nigeria. It was a milestone because of its success, the success it had in its outing. It was one of the milestones that really showcased what Nigerians can do with the technology that they had on ground. So it was an era that spawned the video filmmaking, which is a term that is used to coin films that were made using video technology. Why did we decide to use video technology? I mean, films that were made by Herbert Ogunde,
Yes.
and Eddie Uboma, the likes of, all the early filmmakers before the living in bondage era. These films were made with cinema cameras and film cinema cameras that were shooting on, film reels. But we had to abandon that technology because of the depreciation of the naira that occurred in the 1980s. A buying of equipment at that time, or even getting the film reels that were required for,
This kind of
shooting
production.
film production, became extremely expensive. And then, of course, we didn't have the necessary technology for processing those film reels here in Nigeria, or editing, doing the post-production work. And so it was required that after shooting in Nigeria, you had to actually take these films abroad. Of course, because of the depreciation of the naira at that time, we had to then start looking for local sources of how to then create these films and distribute films without having to spend so much money. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that the depreciation of the naira has never, if in any way, it has spurred the growth of the industry. It has made us to become more creative in the way we are able to create our films. Nigerians, like I keep saying, I'll keep going back to the fact that Nigerians are
More
very resourceful.
resourceful. I agree.
They are extremely resourceful. And so, yes, we have had the depreciation of the naira in recent years. But guess what that has done? That has even made some of our films that are being shown on the cinema to gross over 1 trillion naira. I mean, the last film that was the last highest grossing film in the cinema grossed over 1 trillion naira. I don't want to go into calling names of films that
Fair
we're
enough.
talking about. That wasn't possible a couple of years ago. Simply
I
because
agree.
I wouldn't say the volume of film, the volume of cinema tickets that were sold were significantly more. It was simply because the amount that were being paid for the tickets was not more. And so we're having a lot of money coming out from airing films in the cinema houses as against, the previous years when the naira hadn't depreciated to what it was right now. And so that has not, if it has even affected filmmaking in any way, it has only made the filmmakers, those that are serious filmmakers, to be more determined to make even better films. Because like I told you earlier, there are people that bring in these equipment. It might be a little bit more expensive to rent the equipment, but all of that goes into the production cost. And then that, of course, goes into the entire production process. Then at the end of the day, they know that instead of looking for X amount, they're actually looking to recoup Y amount because of how much they've spent on the production. They're looking for more platforms that they would air their films on. Maybe you go to cinema, then eventually go to the streaming platforms before eventually going maybe to YouTube or whatever platform that they want to market their products to. So the depreciation of the naira has affected everything, but challenges can only make you stronger. So long as you can surpass that challenge, you will become stronger at it. So I don't think it has affected film production in Nigeria in any significant way.
So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I like that indeed. Well, time's well spent. But before I let you go, I just want to quickly find out, is film production a lucrative field? More so, is it male dominated? Because I see more males in that space, and I'm wondering, are women also going to step up, or do we also have women in this space?
Okay, I will. I will go back to the last thing I said, or one of the examples I made in my last response, which is that the highest grossing film last year
Mm-hmm.
was crossed by a female filmmaker.
All right.
Yes.
Mm. You're going to leave it at that,
I'm going to
right?
leave it at that. I don't want to call any names.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
So that alone tells you that it's not a male-dominated industry.
Right.
Last week or last 2 weeks, last week, yes, I was on the set of one of the top um, a very high what should I say?
Film
It's
producer?
what I say top level film production set in
Oh,
Nigeria
okay.
right now.
Okay.
It's the making of one film that a film. I mean, it's a sequel to a film that has been made, and it was one of the very well celebrated films, and they are making a sequel to it right now. And I
Okay.
can tell you for free that beyond specific technical roles that tended to do with heavy lifting, things like lifting of lights and moving of equipment and certain other things that required physical strength.
Right.
Majority of the crew members on that set were female.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So it's not in any way a male-dominated industry. There's
That's
specific
good to
things in
know.
the industry that are best suited for females. The editing process now, I'm being told that most people prefer to use female editors because they tend to have more
More.
eye for detail. They
Mm,
tend more detail oriented. They are more
right.
creative in terms of how they use colors, and all of those kinds of things. And so the industry is evolving, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women are in the industry. They might not be in the forefront of things going on, but I can tell
Right.
you for free that there are a lot of female directors, there are a lot of female filmmakers, there are a lot of female script writers, there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of female editors, and so on and so forth. And so the industry is not male dominated in any way. I can't remember the second part of the question. If you could reiterate,
Yeah,
but
I guess we'll leave it at that because if it, yeah, I'm out of time already. But say someone wants to study, well, someone's gone through the film production process. That is the school itself, is what I'm saying. So one has gone through all that. What are the job prospects? Is it very, is it something that they can leave the shores of Nigeria and go and say, okay, I went to so and so school and I don't have to be here only in Nigeria. I could also work in Nollywood. I'm just asking.
of course,
Okay.
filmmaking, regardless of the fact that there's certain uniqueness to various film cultures around the world.
Mm,
So if you go to Bollywood, there's certain things that they do in Bollywood that is unique to their film industry. But filmmaking is a global art. It's something that I mean, if you're a cinematographer here in Nigeria, you can be a cinematographer in Bollywood, you can be a cinematographer in Hollywood. Now, the challenge there is that it is somewhat of a close knit circle or industry
mm,
in the sense that it usually works on referrals or people that have worked with certain people. And so if you have not practiced in that industry, it
it'll
might
be
be
hard.
more difficult for you to enter into that industry. But then
Right.
again, you have one of the largest industries here in Nigeria. So why leave a large industry in Nigeria to go and work in Hollywood where you have to start from the ground up? What we
Fair enough.
propose, what we try to push out or encourage people to do is collaborations across industries, collaborations
Mm,
between Hollywood and Nollywood, collaborations between Nollywood and Bollywood. With
mm.
these collaborations, you are able to, birth new stars, birth new filmmakers that don't have to go over to Hollywood and go and start from the bottom. Because by then, Hollywood would know these people because of the collaborations that have already
They've
been done
already done.
to that industry. You are able to, get into top or filmmaking
Mm.
gigs.
All right. Thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for, making it so easy to understand everything. But for someone who is trying to get in on this space, who is trying to get in into the film production school, how do we go about it? I love, is there a platform? Is there, or how can someone follow you and ask further questions that they might be feeling a bit reluctant to follow through here, how can they reach out to you? What social media platforms can they do that on?
Okay, well, I'm on Instagram, I am on LinkedIn, and all you have to do is actually just look for my name, Sam Igbedion, just one word. Look for at
Mm,
Sam Igbedion. I'm on LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn, just look for Sam Igbedion or Samuel Igbedion. In full, you will find me on LinkedIn. If you go to
mm,
Instagram, just look for at Sam Igbedion. You will find me there. If you are looking to study film in Nigeria, depending on the level that you are at, film training is something that we are very big on in Pan Atlantic University, amongst all the
right.
other courses that we teach. And so we have undergraduate programs in film that have gone up to the
Mm,
second year now. We have a master's program in film, the Masters in Film Production program. And in
mm.
fact, I don't know if you can see my t-shirt. We are currently having the first of its kind Pan Atlantic University International Student Film Festival. It's a 5-day festival that just started.
Awesome.
Exactly,
Mm.
it's a 5-day festival that's just started today. It's really big. We started. The first edition was done last year, and this is the second edition. And we decided to do this because we know that
There are a
filmmaking is
lot of people who want to
a
come
lot of
in
people
on
that are coming into
into
this.
this field.
Yes, exactly. And so we're trying to create a
Right.
platform for people to be able to showcase their skills and get the necessary training that is required for them to become big, because filmmaking is a very lucrative industry. So long as
Mm.
you are good at it and you take it very seriously, it is a very lucrative field.
All right. Thank you so much for all that insight, and I trust that you'll have a pleasant evening ahead of you.
Thank you very much.